thank you for checking out, thank you for listening, thank you for watching to this episode of Bounce Off, the #1 SlamBall podcast. I am your host, Sam Roberts. You can find me on social media at Quantum Roberts, that's QUANTUM Roberts, to talk all things SlamBall. This Thursday, we're going to have a Q&A style podcast as we run up to the start of the second week of SlamBall action. If you have any questions to do with SlamBall after weekend one, either tweet them at me, I've already given you the at QUANTUM Roberts, or leave them in the replies to this YouTube video, and I will tackle and try to address any questions that you might have about the SlamBall League this Thursday. Also in the description on YouTube or the description of this podcast, you can find a link to a Discord run by our good friend Lone Ranger with a dedicated section to SlamBall if you want to talk to other fans. And you'll find a link to SlamBall's official statistical data page where you can keep up to date with all the goings on from a numbers standpoint. Most of all, thank you to Darion Slade for doing this interview. And with that being said, let's just get straight into it, shall we? Welcome everyone to Bounce Off Podcast, the #1 SlamBall podcast. I am joined tonight by our guest, Darion Slade, former high school basketball and football standout from North Carolina, third most tackles in school history for Campbell University, a bowling enthusiast, and more importantly, handler for the Wrath. How are we doing today, Darion?
I'm doing really good. How about you?
I'm great, man. I wanted to ask you about the bowling thing because I'm a big bowling fan as well. Have you found somewhere to go out in Vegas?
I haven't yet. I need to go explore though. But I didn't bring my bowling balls with me or nothing, but I can still use the house ball and get it done.
All right. It's a lot to bring. I know for some of the guys, they end up coming out to join the league quite late, so they don't have a chance to pack everything. Is that something that's like first on your mind when packing, or is it just like it's a throw in last minute?
It's always on my mind, but it's like, do I really need it? I'm good without it. So
I know the game, like bowling's a bit of a stress relief for you. It's something that gets your mind right before games. Has it been difficult going through preseason and now the first weekend of games without that?
No, I think I adjust pretty well. It is something that I like to do before games, but it's not something that I have to do, I would say.
It's not a need to do. Have you got like a preseason routine, or sorry, pre-game routine that gets you into the mindset? I know you always like to finish by listening to Bad by Michael Jackson to remind yourself that you are bad out there. Is that still the case, or has that changed?
Honestly, I haven't really had a pre-game ritual here with SlamBall. That was mainly with football that I used to do that. But yeah, right now I really haven't had any rituals. I need to find one though.
We'll work it out. I mean, you've been doing okay. Team's doing pretty well with 3-1 records, so we'll see. We'll see if you need it. We'll talk a little bit about the accolades that got you noticed by SlamBall. I wanted to start with your time as a high school basketball player. You were QB in high school, but you also played basketball. What position were you for basketball at high school?
Point guard and shooting guard.
Yeah, that seemed to make sense looking at some of your stats. It seems like that was your general. And I feel like a lot of QBs end up also playing point guard as well. Just the passing and distribution really translates between the sports. Could be wrong.
Right.
Talk to me about the level of competition in youth basketball in the US. Over here, it's one of those things that isn't that big all the time, but you in particular took part in the EYBL, you took part in Nike tournaments, Under Armour tournaments. This is high level youth competition. Talk to me about that level of competition you faced.
Oh, so when I turned, I think it was 15, that's when you can join the circuits like the EYBL, Under Armour Association and stuff like that. It's a big difference though, because you're going against competition after competition. We played against #1 pick Markel Fultz. I played with Bam Adebayo. I played with Harry Giles. That played in the NBA, but it's a big difference. That's when I knew that football was definitely gonna be my route.
You didn't think you could stack up?
I'm a competitor, but they like 6'10", 6'11", jumping out the gym, and so I was like, yeah, I'm gonna go a different route.
All right, I understand. I mean, you weren't exactly a scrub in high school basketball. In the Frank Spencer Holiday Classic, you were a top 3 scorer by the time you got to your senior year. And that's like I'm told that's a big deal in North Carolina. What did it feel like to have that sort of accolade to end your high school career being like, I'm top 3 in this thing all the time?
It was amazing, really, because I didn't know I was even near a record at all. I think the last person I passed was Chris Paul, and he also went to West Forsyth. So it was kind of like, okay, I beat Chris Paul record in the Frank Spencer. But Chris Paul only played 2 years in that tournament. I played 4 years because Chris Paul played JV his first 2 years. So But I still beat him though, so I take
I mean, if you played varsity for 4 years and he only played it for two, I mean, who's better then, you know?
it. Right.
Do you look at these high school statistics and accomplishments and stuff? Are they still as important to you as they would have been back then, or have you since had bigger accomplishments that you've reached that are more at the front of your mind?
I'm still grateful for all my accomplishments. Every accomplishment that I get, every accolade that I collect along the way. So it's still just as important as when I first did it.
Okay, okay. I mean, you've not just got accolades when it comes to high school, you've also got them when it comes to university. For Campbell University, you have the third most tackles in university history with 221 in 44 games. What do you think got you to such a high stat number? Is it your personal determination and skills, or was there a lot of defensive schemes that were drawn up for yourself in particular?
It's just the will and the want to like tackle and be around the ball. So you have a lot of guys who, if the play goes away from them, they kind of like be lazy, don't really run over there. I just made sure that I got to the ball every single play. Sometimes my teammates would miss tackles, and that's my time to get an extra tackle. Also, special teams was really big. I played every special teams, even though I started on defense. So if I can get maybe like one or two tackles on special teams and then collect some during the game on defense, I just knew that my stats would be better.
We mentioned earlier you were quarterback in high school. What was that transition like to playing more of a defensive minded game when you then went to college, or had you already got practice at that earlier on?
So I feel like quarterback helped me when I got to defense because as a quarterback, I'm looking at the defense and trying to read the defense. So when I got to Campbell University and I started playing DB, it's like I kind of know what's going through the quarterback head a little bit, and I know like offensive schemes and stuff that they drawing up against our defense. So I would say it helped me a lot. The transition at first was kind of tough because I played corner and I was a man-to-man corner, so I had to get the technique down with all that. But once I got it, once it clicked, it was just uphill from there.
Something else that's commendable about your time playing college football. Your coach for Campbell and Mike Minter, former Carolina Panther, he had a quote after one of your games saying, "I thought number 7 got better as the competition got better." Do you think that's an accurate reflection of your competitive nature? And do you think that's still how you play now?
Most definitely, as like competition gets better, or just when I need to step up and do better, I always say I always take on that responsibility. Like whenever my team needs me or whenever we're playing a big game, I like the bright lights, and I like to do good and just play the best that I can. So it all just fall into play.
Is that easy for you? Does nerves don't tend to strike you as much?
Nah, I don't really be nervous, but I think that's all part of the preparation. Though, if you prepare the right way, um, when you get out there in the game, it's like, okay, I know I worked hard. I know what I can do. It's no point of being nervous because I done rep this out 1,000 times. It's second nature at this point. So I don't really be getting nervous like that.
I still want to talk about more of your college time, but just because we're talking about this, doing what's asked of you when the team needs. On Saturday night, your team, the Wrath, went down with a number of injuries. You already came into the night missing 2 of your starting 4. You got the start missing Christian Gray on the team. And then by the end of the night, you'd lost another 2 starters in Ty McGee and Stephen Julian III. So from my perspective, watching, a lot of the offense in the latter half of that game against the Ozone was going through yourself. Is that something that you were told, right, we need you to play big right now? And do you feel like you stepped up to that?
I feel like it wasn't really told, but I just knew like I could do something. Like I'm primarily a defensive player, so I leave like the scoring mostly to Christian, Ty, Steve. But at that moment, it was just time. Like we needed to win the game. It was just time for me to step up and show that I can score too as well. I can do it all, and I just play my role as the defender. But in that moment, I needed to be a scorer as well. So yeah.
Understood. I mean, we started this chat by me giving you a quote from Mike Minter. What was your relationship like with your Campbell head coach?
Oh, we're very tight. That's like a second dad to me. I can call him about anything, anything that I'm going through. He helps to talk me through it. when I was with the USFL, if I needed something, needed to learn something, he's been at the highest level for 10 years. So he knew like what coaches were looking for and what coaches would want from me and stuff like that. Like we were really tight. We have a good bond.
What's his thoughts on you joining SlamBall? Have you talked to him about that?
I haven't talked to him yet. I need to give him a call and see what he says.
Just send him the tackle highlights, and that can be enough said.
I'm sure.
You mentioned there the USFL, United States Football League. What was your experience like in that league? Because the only thing I could find was that you tried out at minimum for the New Orleans Breakers, but I couldn't see you as part of the team. What happened with that situation, and where did you end up playing?
So, I played with the New Orleans Breakers. Went through camp with them, scrimmages and all that. When it got down to it, they said it's a numbers thing, so they had to release me and I think 8 other guys. But I learned a lot at my time there. I definitely seen that I could play at a high level with the other guys. I learned a lot from my coaches, the other players that was around me, and I built some good relationships too with some of my teammates there. So all in all, I'd say it was still a win for me, even though I didn't get to go through the season with them. I still learned a lot and still built a lot of relationships as well.
Where did you go after your tryout with the Breakers? Did you end up on a different USFL team, or did you end up doing something else?
I just went back to the drawing board. I went back to Winston-Salem, North Carolina. Just stayed training, because you never know when your next opportunity will be. So I just stayed training. Then the next thing was this SlamBall.
Awesome. So were you involved in anything prior to joining the league? When I spoke to Cam Horton last week, he basically just told me he was doing drywalling and trying to work out life. Were you in a similar situation, or were you still focused on training entirely?
I was just starting a sales job. I think the week I got the call to come here was our first week. We was gonna go out and start selling. So I never even got to do it, but I don't know. Everything just works out. God always got a plan.
What were you supposed to be selling?
We was doing bathroom remodeling.
Ah, right. Okay.
I was going to be the person who designed the bathroom and, make it how they want it, stuff like that. But
So
I didn't
you
get the opportunity to do it.
No. Do you wish you had? Do you think that was your calling instead of SlamBall?
I don't know. I think it would be fun to do, but I definitely would rather be playing SlamBall than designing bathrooms.
Well, we'd rather you do this as well, to be honest.
Right.
You described yourself as a big physical safety who likes to come downhill. That was in a prior interview. Do you still think that's accurate to how you're playing in SlamBall, or does the nature of the sport make it a little bit harder?
It makes it a little bit tougher because you can't hit nobody from the side, can't nobody from the back. At the end of the day, we still all want to be safe while we're playing. If you have the opportunity to hit, of course, you take that shot, but I have to tone it down a little bit because if I'm overly aggressive, that's when they can start calling fouls, or, I might hit them when they jumping into the tramp and stuff like that. So I got to tone it down and be smarter with it. Football is like go and you just going you're going to hit somebody. But here I got to, kind of finesse it a little bit, play the right way, and, be safe at the end of the day too.
Are you a little bit more hesitant about making hits then because you're too busy thinking about, right, is this going to break a rule? Or, I mean, I've known this guy for a couple of weeks now. He seems like a nice guy. I don't want to rough him up too bad. Is that in your head?
Oh yeah, for sure. Definitely the rules. Still learning all the rules and what you can do and can't do. And also I want to play good defense as well. I go for a hit and I miss. Now I'm putting my team in a bad spot because I'm on the other side of the court and it's 3-on-2. So I got to be smart,
You mentioned if you hit a guy, he might be jumping into the tramp while you do it. How do you think it's been called through the first weekend? Because on commentary, the commentary team kept saying, oh, that guy was miles from the trampolines. He shouldn't have been jumping. He's just trying to get a call. How do you feel as a guy who's out there for defense trying to play against that sort of, I mean, in the NBA, it'd be called flopping. How do you feel about that?
I think the refs are new too as well. They're learning just like we learning. Um, a lot of those times where people saying like they wouldn't have made it or they're just jumping the jump. It's honestly a lot of people can jump from further out. So I can't say if they would have made it or wouldn't make it because I done seen some people make it from above that 4 point line. So that's another thing, just being smart, knowing when somebody gonna jump or hitting them before they jump and stuff like that. So I would say that overall the calls were good. The refs did a good job.
What do you think is the key to playing good defense on the perimeter without letting guys get into the tramps in the first place? Is it
You got
lateral quickness? Is it just having your hands up? What's the energy?
number one thing is picking them up at half court. Don't try to pick them up around the 4 point line because the trampoline already right there. So that's when people get a lot of fouls when they try to pick them up too late. If you pick them up at half court, and yeah, you got to have lateral quickness, but also be a little physical. You don't want them to have any free lanes to the trap because then you're putting your stopper in a bad position. So be a little physical as soon as if they put the ball on the ground. If they don't put the ball on the ground, have active hands. Just to try to get in the way of the pass and stuff like that. So I would say that's the biggest thing is picking up at like half court or even further than that.
We've heard a lot of guys talk about the sport as being very physically demanding, very exhausting, and none of them have mentioned even picking up at half court. It's all been about just jumping from tramp to tramp and the physicality in the air. Do you think that adds to it as well, that if you're playing strong defense and offense, you're having to cover the entire floor?
Yeah, definitely you having to cover the entire floor. Cardio is definitely a factor, but that's why you trust your teammates too. So once you do get tired, you got to trust that your teammate can come in and give that extra spark too that your team needs. But it's very demanding. But hey, if you want to win, that's what it's gonna take.
Let's talk about getting into the league. What did you know about SlamBall before you joined? Were you a fan of earlier seasons, or were you just sort of like, I've never heard of this thing, let's go on YouTube?
Oh yeah, I definitely used to watch it. I have an older cousin that I used to we used to live together. So when he used to watch it when I was little, I don't know, like 5 years old, 6 years old, I used to watch it with him. So I definitely remembered it and all that. I didn't know that they was bringing it back. I hadn't heard anything like that. But when I got the call, it was like, I'm gonna go see it. I'm gonna go try it out.
So
And
did
so
they
that's
reach did they reach out to you directly and offer you an opportunity?
actually one of my friends here. He's from Winston-Salem too. And I guess some people didn't come to tryouts, and they was looking to fill in some spots. And he gave me a call like I think I got a perfect opportunity for you. He said he like what you doing with football. I'm like I just got released from the USFL and stuff, so I'm chilling. He like I'm down here in Vegas playing slam ball. In my head, I'm like, what slam ball? Like that's what you asking me? Do I want to do? And I got on the phone with Rob, and he told me if I could be down here tomorrow morning. It was a Sunday. He said if I could make it to Vegas the next morning, then I could try out and stuff. So I asked a couple people what should I do, and they like, that's a once in a lifetime opportunity. A lot of people can't say they did that. So I booked my flight and headed to Vegas. So it's really because of him, Brian Gentry. He played with the Slashers. It's really thanks to him that I'm here for real.
Do you look at this as, some guys have said, this is my NFL, this is my NBA? Do you look at this as, this is an opportunity for me to make my mark in a professional sporting world, that this is a once in a lifetime chance?
Most definitely. I feel like anything you do, go 100%. You know what I mean? Because you never know what the outcome could be. I know back in the day with Slam Ball, there was no social media like that and stuff like that. But we just had our first little weekend and clips everywhere on social media. So you never know what name you can make for yourself and what God has planned for you. So just anything you do to do it 100%. So I'm definitely going to try to make my name in this sport since I'm playing this sport.
You mentioned Rob Wilson there as a guy you talked to, and I know that he's been very involved in recruitment and player relationships. What's your experience been like with him, and have you seen any footage of him back in the day playing?
Oh yeah, we watch YouTube videos all the time, like when we're just at the house chilling. But Rob, he loves slam ball and he wants to see us succeed as well as the whole slam ball organization succeed. We also have like our coaches was former players, and they paved this way for us. That court that we have out there now, like those bright lights, and they say all the time, like, you guys are getting like way more than what we had, and we just want to thank them by, you know, doing right by SlamBall and playing the right way, and giving the crowd something to come out and enjoy. So Rob is great. The way they set the whole thing up is great. I was amazed when I seen the court and all that, and just the organization. I mean, we're still learning, but the organization been pretty good too.
How close to the start of the season beginning were you brought into training camp? Obviously, the guys who are part of the Super 24, and they got a couple extra weeks ahead of some folks. I know that Faisal Shafat was saying that he got brought in 3 weeks before the season started. Is that similar to you, or did you get a little bit of extra time?
I got brought in. So the Elite 24 came a week before us.
Right. Okay.
I think June 3rd was our first day. If I'm not mistaken, June 3rd or June 4th or somewhere around there. So, I mean, I came in when all the rest of the guys came in, other than the Elite 24.
Right. So you were part of the bigger tryout group.
Yeah, I was part of the bigger group, yeah.
What was your attitude to taking part in the early tryouts and things like that? Some guys have been sort of determined to get in, or were you like, I'm going to play my game the best I can and see what happens?
I was just like, I've never played this before. I'm just coming out here to have fun. It was a different feeling than like when I went to like the USFL camp and tryouts, because it's like, I'm a football player. I know I'm a football player. I know what I'm doing. And if I make a mistake or something, I get mad at myself because I know what I should be doing. Here it's like, if I made a mistake, I make a mistake because I'm learning. I don't really know what I'm doing. So my thing was just grasp everything they're telling us and have fun with it. That was my biggest thing.
What elements of your football background do you think have come in the easiest? And when you were very first learning, when you were getting used to the tramps and everything, what was the easiest part of the game to pick up?
The defense, the physicality on defense. That was the easiest thing. I think that was one of the main reasons I even got drafted in the first place, was just the defensive part. And then I started picking up the offensive part later on. But the defensive part came second nature.
Something looking at your background and your time at Campbell, I'm right in saying you suffered 2 torn meniscus in your freshman year, correct?
Yeah, 2 of my freshman year, yep.
Yeah. I will point out for anyone listening, as I'm about to ask you how you feel post those. Your best college career years came after those surgeries and things like that. So you clearly recovered well. But is there any concern when you're playing a sport that's A, very physical, but B, involves a lot of bouncing the tramps? Are you concerned about it at all?
Nah, no. I don't ever think about it. I just go out there and play. Even when I was coming back from injury after my freshman year, it's like I rehab, like I'm good. I know a lot of people have that, like, kind of baby their injury a little bit, but I just, if it's gonna happen, it's gonna happen, So I just go hard every time.
You've already been through it. Okay. What about the tramps in general? Some guys have had experience with it. Other guys are like, I've never been on a trampoline before, so this is all new. Were you comfortable with it, or is it still taking some getting used to?
I had been on trampolines like when I was little and stuff like that, and then been to like urban area and like sky zones, like the trampoline parks, but nothing like what we doing now. So it definitely, I learned. If you would have seen me from where I started to where I am now, it's amazing.
Like Bambi on ice.
I'm telling you, I was so like, I don't know, takeoffs and stuff, like face-offs, like coming from that top trap, I thought I would never be able to do that. And now I'm doing it, easily, so. But we got Coach Pat. He's our aerial coach. Great. Him on the trampolines, he can do a lot of crazy stuff. But they coached me up. I listened to everything, and I got better, and I'm still getting better every day too.
Awesome. You're the first player I've had a chance to speak to who, to my knowledge, changed teams during preseason. You were originally on the Griffins. You've moved to the Wrath. What was that process like?
At first, when I changed teams, I thought like I was doing something wrong. But Coach Jelani with the Griffs told me it was just they needed another stopper. So I was just like, okay. And then we practiced with the Wrath. So I already knew Coach Champ, and all the other players. So it was kind of like the perfect opportunity for me. It couldn't have been no better.
Did it feel like getting traded? This is your first experience of I've just been traded from one team to the next.
Yeah, I felt like getting traded. And when I seen that we played the Griffs the first game, it's like, okay, I get to play against my old team, but I didn't really take it too much to heart. I just, with a new team, learn their system and let's just get the ball rolling.
How was the experience of moving houses? Obviously, the guys are in team houses over there in Vegas. Was that a little bit awkward of like,
Oh
all
yeah,
right, see you guys later?
that was different too, moving houses and stuff. So of course I miss my guys with the Griffs, but I love the team I'm on now and I love the guys I live with and stuff.
How were they about you coming into their world and their team and joining it in? Were they excited about it, or was it sort of like, right, this guy's new, let's see what you can do type thing? I know obviously you've been training together, but it's different when you're then on a squad.
No, they was happy. They say, "Oh yeah, we just got a lot better."
Okay.
They knew what I could do. Yeah, so like I said, we practiced together. They done seen me play, so they was just like, "Oh yeah, we just got a lot better."
One thing I noticed with the Wrath is that as a team, you guys don't seem to post as much on social media about being involved in SlamBall. Like you look at all the other teams and there's like loads and loads of Instagram posts and Twitter engagement of this is what I'm doing now, this is where I'm at. You guys will post the occasional story, but it's not as heavy. Is that
Right.
because you're not as interested in broadcasting that? You're not as excited about being here, or is it's business for us?
It's more so business. Coach Champ talk about it all the time. Um, it's a business thing. We go out there, we play hard, try to win games, and that's really about it. We don't really care for the social media stuff like that. It's just we like to suit up and go play.
Focus is on the game.
Yeah.
Very Spurs. I like it.
All right.
I know that you held the position of captain while you were at Campbell over 4 years. You're obviously not listed as a co-captain for the Wrath, probably just because, like we were talking about, you were brought into the team a little bit later.
Well,
Do you feel like you take on certain responsibilities in a similar role, though, or is it just everyone's responsible for themselves?
I think with our team, we all police each other. Like we all hold each other accountable. I think everybody is like a captain on our team. Um, we make sure that we're there on time to practices, games. If somebody does slip up, we get on them, we talk to them about that. As far as in the game, we make sure that people playing the way they're supposed to be playing. And if somebody's not, we tell them like, "Come on, I need you." You know what I mean? Like, I need you to help us win this game. So I think we police each other pretty good. I think everybody's like a captain on our team.
I mean, you've started with a really good weekend on pretty much anyone who's following the sport and is a nerd like me making power rankings. They've got you guys as third best in the league, which I think is fair. You've got 3 wins, 1 loss. For me, the biggest concern is obviously you guys have been hit with the injury bug more than any other team. How do you feel coming out of this first weekend? First of all, in terms of the team success.
I felt great. Of course, we're disappointed about that one loss. We feel we shouldn't have lost that game. We came out very sloppy. I think they went on an 8-0, 11-0 run or something like that. So we were disappointed about that, but we won the next tournament the next day. So we were happy about that. Even with all the injuries that we did have, we still managed to win and win by a good margin. So we're happy about that. We just ready to play Thursday or Friday, whichever day we play, and win another one.
We talked earlier about you getting some extra opportunities on day 2 with injuries even before the day started to 2 of your starting 4. You would have been coming off the bench if those injuries hadn't happened, right? So this is a good opportunity for you. Bad for the guys and not something you want to get that opportunity. But how did it feel being thrown into that position?
I was ready for it. I feel like we got a team where we got a lot of dogs on our team. Anybody can play any given time. Anybody can start. So it was just next man up, type deal. And that's why we practice hard. We practice the way we do. So we know that if somebody does go down, we got somebody behind them that can fill their spot and play just as good.
On that, are you concerned about the injuries at all, or is it just it's chalk up to part of the game?
No, it's okay. It's just part of the game. For real.
Do you think you guys will be good for this weekend without going into specifics for anyone, or do you think it's a case of just wait and see?
It's just wait and see. Not really sure.
We talked earlier. You've just come back from practice. How many guys were even hitting the floor? Was it a full squad doing fitness, or?
So I mean, everybody was in the weight room. Then you got people in the training room getting their injuries right. We still had like 5 people practice.
How did it feel getting? Because obviously from night 1 to night 2, you had to bring in Ryan Johnson from the taxi squad. How did he fit into the new team dynamic?
He was already on the raft before I came to the raft, so he was already just our teammate anyway, and we still treat him like a teammate. We still all go out to eat, even when he was a reserve. So he just came back to his team. That's all.
That's lucky. That's good.
Mm-hmm.
Your best game, or the game we were talking about earlier, where you were asked to carry a little bit more of the load when the injuries came, was the one against the Ozone, which obviously has sparked interest from fans as possibly the first big rivalry of this new version of SlamBall. Are you looking at it like that these are the guys we've got to beat every time now, or again, is it just business?
It's just business. Whoever we play, we looking to beat them. So that's just who we played at that point in time. But it's just business. Go out there, handle what we got to handle, and go home.
Even though they're chirping at you from the other side of the court?
Even though they're chirping, we don't worry about it.
Okay. Are you concerned at all about this? I've not had this confirmed yet, but the reporting on Twitter is that your head coach is getting a 1-game suspension and fine from the league. Is that like a badge of honor, or is that like oh man, we need you for every game?
I mean, we still, even though he's distilled like what he knows into us. So it's like we all like coaches on the floor anyway. So it's even though he's not going to be there, we still got the same mindset that he tells us, and the same way of playing and way of thinking as him, because he's the one who taught us. So it'll be okay. And then we got Coach Jay Lee, who's a great coach too as well. So we'll be fine.
I mean, he's 1-0 as head coach, right? So that's a good
yeah. He 1-0 as the head coach. Exactly.
I don't know why the league did that. When at the end of the game, it came up with this lower third that just said first win as head coach. And I'm like, well, okay,
all right,
sure. Looking towards this weekend slate of games, obviously, as we're recording, the schedule isn't out for the public. And I got told by other coaches, you guys don't even know the schedule because you're waiting on ESPN to get back to you to confirm if they're okay with the games happening. What are you doing to prepare as a team?
Just going over plays, keeping our cardio up for sure. Defense, working on defense a lot, because I think we gave up too many points this past weekend. So definitely working on defense a lot. And just staying healthy too, making sure we got all our paddings on while we're practicing, being safe on the tramps. Yeah, so just the regular stuff.
What are you doing personally when you're coming to SlamBall? Is it just whatever coach says goes, or do you have personal things that you're working on week to week?
Definitely working on new stuff, new ways to trick the stopper, new ways to get my teammates involved. Just getting my bag right, getting it right. So when I do go out there, I got a lot of tricks up my sleeve, more than I showed this past weekend. So yeah, that's a big thing.
Are you comfortable with things like freestyling in the tramps or dribbling into them? Is that still coming along?
Yeah, I mean, it's still coming along, but I'm definitely comfortable with it. And just knowing the rules and how I can get away with certain stuff, like certain things I can do that's within the rules that will help me trick the stopper and get my teammates involved.
Okay, awesome. I want to end on a question I've been asking every player. The league's contract with ESPN is for 2 years. As I got told in my very first interview with Coach H of the Buzzsaw, the contract isn't with the players, it isn't with the coaches, it isn't even with the teams. It's just with the league. Do you want to still be involved in SlamBall next season? And would you like to be involved even going further than that?
Oh, yeah, most definitely. If I had the opportunity to, I'd definitely play.
How long for? Just for as long as they'll let you? Or is this, we've had some players in the league say, I want to be here 20 plus years.
Yeah, as long as I can play, as long as they thinking I'm still good and I could be part of a team, I want to play, yeah.
Okay, awesome. Thank you very much for speaking to me this evening, Darion. Let the people know where they can find you to talk about SlamBall or just see great photos, I guess.
My Instagram is Tarzan_7.0. My Twitter is Darion_Slade1. And just tune in to ESPN whenever the schedule comes out. I think everybody will really enjoy it. We got a lot of high flyers. So I thank the people that did come. Thank for the people that's watching. And hopefully put on a show this weekend.
Thank you to those watching SlamBall, and thank you to those watching, listening to Bounce Off, the #1 SlamBall podcast. Have a great rest of your day.
Thank you, you too.